everybody. It's Astro D, where relationships and synastry, that's my specialty, and I love throwing some flavor and simplicity to astrology. So I'm gonna let you hear this for two more. Okay, now, if anyone can guess what that song was, what that instrumental was, because I wouldn't dare play the original song on here. But if anybody can guess what that tune was, you get an answer to a question. I will look at your natal chart and I will answer a question. And no cheating. Don't Shazam it or whatever. This is authentic. You know, I really want an authentic answer here. Leave it in the comments and let me know. The first person to leave the correct name of that instrumental, you get a free reading or a free answer to a question. So the name of this video that I'm getting ready to do right now is about abuse in the chart. Alright, and no, that is no laughing matter. I mean, yes, you will see me make jokes sometimes because I'm a joker, but the tone of this is very serious because, you know, this is things that you see in the chart that can lead to arguments, fighting, and then getting physical and stuff. And I mean, you want to know about that. I mean, you kind of want to at least have an idea about it. Disclaimer. I have to have a disclaimer with this chart because then everybody's going to be over here texting me thinking that their man is going to beat them up or that they're going to want to beat up somebody. This is general. These are just general aspects that I'm speaking about, not taking into play your entire chart, the entire dynamic, and then at the most important, the free will, what you guys are actually doing with this deck of cards you were dealt in this lifetime. What are you doing as individuals and what are you doing as a couple together? So do not, I don't want to see no nasty comments talking about, well, me and my man is Martha Square and we don't have to. Look, this is just understanding aspects, learning, and making it real simple and easy and giving you some examples on how some ways that these aspects can play out. So do not panic. If you see this in your chart, you have to look at the whole big picture. You know, you can't just look at one aspect and determine everything on it, okay? With that being said, let me talk about, and also, one last disclaimer too, if you really do, you know, forget about the chart, forget about astrology for a second. If you are getting abused, walk away. You know, and I'm not saying that looking down on you or anything like that, because sometimes, you know, people do that. They'll give a message and they'll be condescending about it or look down like, how could you stay? You know, you don't know what you're going to do until you're in a situation. But, you know, for those that are in abusive situations, walk away. There's so many charts. If you need me to verify for you, if you're already, because sometimes people need verification, even though they're seeing and feeling something going on in their life, they still need some type of verification. Want to come talk to me about it? You know what I'm saying? Hit me up. You know, I'm not a therapist. However, I can tell you that what you're feeling and what you're going through is matching up with what's going on in the sky. And so far, it hasn't kind of drew me wrong. One time, I was talking to this guy on his phone, right? He was a tow truck dude, whatever. We're talking on it and everything. And I said, yo, man, you know, you're kind of violent, kind of abusive. You know, he never called me back, ever. Like, homeboy, like, I'm like, maybe I should say something all the time, you know what I mean, when I see stuff. So anyway, so I wanted to talk about some of the possible signs of abuse that could be going on, and really we're talking about violence, you know, on a physical level, but abuse can be on an emotional level, you know, and it can also be on a spiritual level. There's so many ways that somebody can abuse you, but I'm going to keep it on the basic level that everybody knows, you know, Ike and Tina, you know, type thing. That type of abuse, and even we'll go into emotional a little bit too, and we're going to talk about the culprits. What are the planets? Also, I hope you're following me at AstroDee5 as well, okay, staying up to date on everything that's going on. So we want to look at, what are the culprits? What are the planetary culprits of abuse? Well, of course, you're going to look up your gang of malefics. You got Saturn in the corner chilling, okay, you got Pluto, and then of course Mars. Make sure you check out my Mars and Synastry video as well to get more in depth about, you know, how Mars can play out in Synastry as well. Now, so, and we're dealing with Mars, right? So Mars, you got Pluto, and you got Saturn here, right? And this is when these planets, they gang up on the little planets, okay? Even you can even throw Uranus in there a little bit if you want to add some shock value to the whole thing, traumatizing to the whole thing as well. I mean, like, AstroDee, where are you going with this? I gotta keep it real. I got so many topics coming up that I'm trying to make sure I stay on point and I keep pushing it out there. So where am I coming from, right? So we want to understand in the Synastry chart first, what the hell is Mars doing? Mars was our aggression, our anger, how we're going forth in our assertion, our drive. You know what I'm saying? And what are the aspects to Mars? Now these aspects to Mars, first you want to know what house it falls in, according to whatever Synastry chart you got. Make sure you check out my planets and houses part to get that part of it. And then you want to understand what aspects are going on with that Mars, right? So I want to talk about the top, like, funky Mars aspects, you know, in the sense that would hint at abuse. This is, if I see one, if I'm looking at a chart, it's the first thing I see, I will continue to look for more indications of that. But if that's just all I see, then you guys are just aggressive with each other. You know, you play fight or whatever. But Mars squaring Mars, that is funky. That is not a good aspect to how is someone at all. This is your, how you get things, how you maneuver and how they maneuver. There's friction. It does not work. You guys are not compatible sexually, probably, or if you are, it's just off. The timing is just very difficult to get on point with this person. Mars squaring Mars, and that's just fighting. That's straight up fighting. There's no clear example of fighting Mars, and you know, that 2 issue, you don't want that. You don't want to have that, and if you do, there's a high chance that that's what you and your partner do. Fight a lot, and it may get physical there, right? And then we got here Mars squaring Mercury. So this is where it leaves physical, because Mars is the physical activity, activeness. The way you guys are active clashes. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you guys fight. It could just be that you just don't flow at all. So on a lighter level, you could take away the actual hitting, but just how you do things. You guys might trip into each other, knock into each other or something like that. You know, there's people when you're walking, you knock into your head with them type of thing, you know what I mean? So that might not work. Now we want to talk about verbal arguing. This is also abusive arguing. Someone's Mars squaring your Mercury, right? The Mercury person is feeling the Mars harshness on their Mercury. So that Mercury squaring Mars or having a difficulty to Mars there. You know, now we're dealing with this person cursing you out. You just straight up having fights, verbal fights now. This is a verbal abuse that could occur here. Now this is a lower, now remember you got Mars is the lower octave, that's why I started with Mars and I didn't go to Pluto. Mars is the lower octave of Pluto. Pluto is when you take it up a notch, okay? Pluto is when you take it up a notch. So, and then last thing I also wanted to do, no, I'll get into that later. So then let's talk about aspects with Pluto that donate to abuse. Now remember Mars, like I said, Mars is the kind of anger though that you get over. You can kind of whirl through it. You know, it's a lighter type of, it's still anger, but it's a different type of anger. Remember the sign Aries, right? And in the sign Aries, that style of anger, it's very quick, fast, and then it's over. You know, there's no big blow. I mean, it is a big blow, but it's like, that's it. Hey, so you want to get something to eat? You know what I mean? That's that type of Aries anger. But when we take it up a notch here, and we bring Pluto into the mix, okay, now we're dealing with that manipulative, power, destructive type of anger. Mars pokes, Pluto destroys. So Mars will stab you and make you limp away. Pluto will kill you, okay? Pluto will kill you. So that type of thing, that's a type of abuse that truly changes your life and really puts you on a different type of path when we're dealing with the Pluto type of abuse here. So now let's put the two malefics together. Let's say Pluto is squaring Mars. Now, Pluto, a square and oppositions also. When I say negative aspects, I mean the oppositions, squares. I leave quintiles as well. I don't really talk about minor aspects. I could get into minor aspects, but let's keep it general. So with that being said, When Pluto is at odds with Mars, it is said in everything I've read about it, and everything that even I've kind of experienced about it, you should kind of stay away from it. It usually does not pan out very well. This is battle, straight up battle. I think this could be Mars square Mars on steroids if Pluto is squaring Mars. I don't think that's very safe. Safe situation to kind of be in, or it could get nasty. It doesn't always have to. I mean, this could be somebody that you do have to fight with in some type of manner that is productive, whether it could be debate team, it could be but there's a destructive manner that Pluto, remember Pluto destroys and rebuilds if it wants to rebuild, you know. So you have somebody's Pluto squaring your Mars, that's battle to the death. I mean, be very, very careful with that type of aspect that you see. Then you go deeper, you know, of course Pluto squaring Pluto. I mean, those are more generational. I mean, it's really when it starts to get on the inner planets, right, that we're dealing with another abuse. Pluto on your Venus. Pluto having a negative pretty much aspect to any of your personal planets, right? We're going to deal with possible themes of abuse, and the square is where it's the most likely indicated. Pluto squaring Venus. Definitely check out my Pluto squaring Venus video. A lot of people seem to be loving that video. It was a lot of fun to make. I gotta make more like that. But Pluto squaring Venus, Pluto squaring the Sun is a nasty one. But I really wanted to focus on the Mars because I think that is the most heavy one, the biggest indicator. If I saw that and I see Mars squaring Mars and I saw Pluto squaring Mars, then I'd be like, whoa. So yeah, if you're out there and you got both of those aspects, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. That's all I'm saying, is I don't know. Now, so the Pluto squaring Mars is really bad, Pluto opposing it, right? Then you got Saturn playing its own play at abuse. See, Pluto is the type of abuse of power games and manipulation. Pluto is the type of abuse, brings the type of abuse where, you know, they play games with your mind type of thing. Now, Saturn is the type of abuse that's just like really blatant, in your face, old school, lock you up in a cupboard abuse type of thing. I mean, it's suppressive, it's restrictive, and it's just damn near demoralizing. I mean, it's really, it can be that type of abuse. You know, Saturn on squaring Venus, you are really killing this person's self-worth and self-value. You may call them ugly, you may make them feel ugly in your presence. I don't know why that was funny. I feel ugly around you. Why? I don't know. And I have been around people like that, and I don't know if it was me or the chart. I don't know if I had me that's going to make me feel ugly. But I'm just saying, you know, that's what happens sometimes. They don't value your beauty, or they don't see it, or they might restrict it or suppress it, or that might be the guy that says that he doesn't want you dressing up nice, he doesn't want you wearing lipstick anymore, or he doesn't want you going out anymore with your friends and looking cute. You know, that's that Saturn squaring Venus suppression. Or Saturn squaring Venus is a lot of heartbreak too. That's a whole nother topic of the heartbreak of that Saturn squaring Venus connect. I can make a whole video on Saturn squaring Venus. Okay. I don't even know if I want to vibrate on that path too deep for too long. But you know, Saturn's going forward. It's going through that transit. That transit is hell. Alright, so Saturn squaring the Venus, Saturn squaring Mars. This is nasty, right? Because what this is someone suppressing another's ability to move forward, to create their own drive and their own steps forward. This is not cool if somebody is suppressing you to kind of literally stopping you. Physically, they could even stop you from moving, and that creates fights. I know some people, when you try to hold them back or when you physically put your hands on them to stop them from moving, look at your hands off me. You better get your hands up. Seriously, and that's that Saturn, you know, trying to suppress the Mars, trying to suppress the actions and to move forward. And it's also bad for sex. I gotta keep it real. You know, Mars rules our sexuality and how we move forward. I mean, that person could really be making you feel quite impotent. You know, let's say it's a woman, you know, you got a small one, I don't like you. You know, and you might not, it totally kills your drive, and you just like, you know, you just can't even flow with that. You know what I mean? So it's important that if you do have that aspect with somebody, that you try your best not to suppress them and you let them just do what they can do. But it doesn't matter. I think it's still going to irritate you. It's going to get on your damn nerves, whatever they do to Saturn person. You'll be totally irritated by it. But the Saturn person may tend to abuse Mars, but Mars is going to come right back. But remember, Saturn's older, so Saturn might hurt a little bit more to Mars. All right, Mars just wants to go forward. You know, Saturn could hold back and say like 2 words and make like Mars cry, like, oh, I can't believe you said that to me. You know what I'm saying? So Mars squaring Saturn. Okay, so these are some of the aspects that I see. You know, Saturn, like I said, squaring a lot of the inner planets, Saturn on the sun. You know, that's bully abuse. You know, just messing with the ego. You know, you can't do it that great. You think you're the shit, but you're really not. That's just hurting the ego. That's abuse. It's still a form of abuse if you have somebody talking down to you, making you feel less than, making you feel unattractive, making you feel devalued. If you feel manipulated, or you feel like your love has to come with, you know, repercussions. If you don't talk to somebody, you know, they punish you. That's manipulation. That's Pluto right there. And you have to be very, very leery and cautious for that. And Mars will just slap you up. Mars, I kind of respect Mars because Mars is in your face. It's pretty direct, the anger. I don't like you. You piss me off. Straight up. So Mars, I mean, I kind of dig Mars for that. But Saturn and Pluto, like I said, that's that heavy stuff. That's that heavy stuff. Right? So then we want to talk about where, if it's in the houses. Okay? What houses tend to trigger that? And let's combine some of these aspects that I gave you in some of these houses. So let's bring it to the 7th house. Mars in the 7th house is a double-edged sword. Because remember, the 7th house is the house of open enemies. So Mars being in the 7th house, this person has a potential to be your enemy or be your kind of opposite that you blend with well. You know, your match that you can challenge, but they will give you a good challenge. There's a good challenge and then there's a damn fight. Alright? So if Mars is in the 7th house and it's squaring Mars, there's a high chance that person is an enemy. Straight up. Right? There's a high chance. Like I said, I don't know the chart, I can see all that stuff. You know, Mars is squaring Pluto in the 7th house. Once again, you know, Mars is squaring your Pluto. So you probably be the one to be more of the enemy towards that person if you're the Pluto person. And it's in your 7th house, like, you know, or you just both. It's mutual. There's a mutual hate there. You know, a mutual, I want to challenge you at every corner. Alright? That's like one of those kung fu movies and the dudes that's always jumping from out the trees and stuff. It's your enemy. So we got Mars in the 4th now. Mars in the 4th is really nasty. This is where we have domestic violence. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to smile like that. I was hinting at something. It wasn't about smiling about domestic violence. That's not what I meant. But that is where you have that. Mars going into the 4th house. You check out my Mars in Synastry videos. I mentioned that like 3 times. But Mars going into the 4th house, it's really about, you know, definitely arguments in the home. Definitely domestic disputes here. If it is squared by Mars itself, squared by Saturn, you know, Pluto, creating tough aspects. And you know, you can even have a double whammy. Or let me slow it down. All right, Mars in the 8th house. This is where, you know, somebody's really getting in your under psyche. This person will really make you do crazy stuff. Okay, I had somebody whose Mars is in my 8th house. They had me doing, y'all, okay, AstroDee was different when that person was around, and I had to kind of cut that off because it was like, whoa, you are taking me out of character. And there are some people that can actually get out of your skin and really bring the worst out of you. So you have to be very, very careful with Mars in the 8th house badly aspected. Ooh. Don't let them fall in love. And Pluto in the 8th. Okay, Pluto in the 8th house can be tough too if it's badly aspected. Square Mars, same thing. And Saturn in every house is just abuse. Feels like freaking abuse. Anyway, right? So you're combining these things. You want to understand first, what is Mars doing in its own chart? So for example, someone's Mars is in your 1st house, right? they already have Saturn square Mars and Mars square Pluto in their own chart. By themselves, without you, they could be abusive or have dealt with a lot of abuse, because it could be, you know, coming towards you as well. You know, they could have dealt with that. And believe, you know, there's more combinations, you know, there's always more combinations that could create this. But these are just the light ones. So, not the light ones, but just, you know, a couple. So, let's say you have your Mars in someone's first house. And let's say your Mars is horribly aspected. And let's say in that first house, within the chart between the two of you, your Mars horribly aspects your partner's chart. There's a high chance that you are going to want to slap your partner around, or that that person could possibly want to be actively or even by accident. This could be the person, and it's so interesting how life can be. I mean, this could be your murderer, or this could be the person that hits you by accident driving in a car. You know, you get in a car accident, God forbid, you know, I don't want to talk about terrible stuff, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Astrology, it's real, man. It's pretty real, y'all. It's real out there, you know. So you gotta be really careful. So let's say your Saturn is hurting somebody's Mercury, right? Your Saturn is hurting your Mercury, and then all of a sudden you see your Mars also hitting that person's Mercury. Damn, you are really butchering how that person thinks, how they talk, how they speak, how they try to exert and communicate with you, and they're constantly fighting with you. Their communication is constantly fighting with you to come out and to be heard, right? So these are some of the really tough aspects when we start to get physical. You know, you look at what house it's in. You know, we're dealing with the physical body, you know, or are we dealing with the psyche here? Or what level of abuse is it? You want to look at, you want to understand, you know, this person really as a whole body, as a layer. I look at the astrology charts as a Russian doll. There's a story within a story within a story within a story that tells a whole story. So just like I said, I just don't want everybody freaking out thinking that their man is going to beat them, or the new guy that they wanted to start dating is going to kill them. But that's on you and your discretion how you want to do it. I have gone through saying to myself, oh, forget the chart. The chart doesn't matter. And totally ignoring it and really backfiring on me. I have been like, oh my God, this chart is what it's meant to be. And then been very disappointed. So, I mean, you gotta be kind of objective when you're doing these things. So, I'm gonna head out. I hope that you guys truly enjoyed this video and you took a lot from learning from this video, and I hope you use it to help other people or to help yourself if you need to identify if you are being abused, or if you're dealing with abuse in your own chart, you know what I'm saying, in your own life. You know, let this be your verifier. I say, you know, astrology doesn't have to always lead your way, but you can let it verify your way. You can let it be something that gives you that push or that excuse to walk out the door, right? Or do your thing or make your next move. So, I'm gonna head out, guys. Take care.